Hello and welcome, dear friends. Today we're covering website design in detail. We'll talk about site structure. Everything has a framework behind it. Once you understand that framework, building the rest becomes much easier. Let's get started and see how it fits together. Take a quick look at what is showing on the screen right now. Website design is no exception to this. It follows its own specific framework, so pay close attention in this video. Before you start, make sure you already finished the setup work. That setup was covered in our previous session for the site. If you haven't done that yet, go back and complete it first. That way, you can follow along properly with everything we cover here. Okay, so friends, every single website is divided into 4 main parts. Pay attention here, because this really matters for what comes next. There are 4 main parts, and we will look at each one in turn. The first part, the topmost part of any site, is called the header. Take a look at it on the screen now, right at the top. It sits above everything else on the page. Inside the header, you'll find the logo, menu, and buttons. Together, they build your site's navigation. Notice the different header types listed here. Take a quick look at what's showing on screen now. The second part, the most important one, is the content, or body. Inside it, we add images, videos, comparisons, and customer reviews. This is really where most of the useful information for the visitor lives. The third part is the sidebar. On some sites, like Iranian stores, we have a sidebar on the right. You've seen it, where you filter products by category or price. That's usually placed in the sidebar. Some sites also have a sidebar for their blog section, showing recent posts or related articles. Alright, so the fourth main part of the page is the footer. It's the bottom section of the site, usually a bit darker in color, and it holds some general information about the site. This is where they write things that help build trust with the people visiting the website. So let's repeat this together one more time to make sure it sticks. We have the site header, which we designed step by step. Next comes the site body, or the main content area. Then we have the sidebar, sitting alongside that content. And after all of that, we finish with the site footer. In this course, you'll learn all of this step by step with me. By the end, you'll have a solid, detailed understanding of this area. In this video, I'll teach you about the container. We'll go through its settings together, one setting at a time, starting from the basics and moving toward the more advanced options. I want to walk you through each one carefully, explaining what it does and why it matters. I want you to pay close attention as we go. That way, you'll come away fully understanding the container topic. This part matters more than most, so stay with me here. Take a moment now, pause if you need to, and look closely at what's on the screen in front of you. Most of our time will be spent on containers, meaning something that holds other widgets. Think of it like building a container to put different fruits and food inside. It's important to really understand that idea before moving forward. Let's go over to our browser now. I've already opened it up for you. This is what we built together in our previous sessions. Take a moment to look at it, since we'll be adding to it next. Okay, we're editing this again. I deleted what we built before. I wanted to start fresh. I wanted to try a few different things this time. Now on the main page, there's nothing yet. So I click on Edit with Elementor. That takes me straight into the editor. Once the page loads, you'll see this empty space. This is the blank canvas we'll build on. It's ready for us to start. Take a quick look at what's showing on screen right now. Now let's look at how the framework actually works in practice. We build different sections one after another. We stack them to put our site together piece by piece. Right now, you can see there's nothing inside this space yet. More importantly, this is the part we'll be working with most often. When we scroll down, you'll notice this part is called the container section. Container and grid are like brothers, working closely together. They're 2 separate Elementor widgets, but they're designed to function side by side, supporting each other. Now let's look at what we can actually do with it. The container widget shows up almost everywhere you build, so its settings stay consistent no matter where you place it. That's why it's worth really understanding this one properly before moving on. To add it, I simply grab it from here. Then I drag it onto the page like this. That whole action, grabbing something and dragging it into place, is what we call drag and drop. This purple bar you see on the side, that's been created for this container space I have here now. In this container space, we can do all kinds of things. One's especially important, so please pay close attention. Pay close attention. One of the most important things we can do is add containers inside this main container. That means we can nest smaller containers right inside the one we already have. This lets us organize our layout in a much more detailed way. If I click the plus sign up on the left, it comes down. You can see it drop into place, ready for us to use. Notice how it snaps neatly into the container below it. That's the option we'll be working with. Now I can grab this same container again and drop it inside this one, right here. Why would we do that? Let me show you. See this small icon here? It marks the inner container. You can select either the inner container or the outer one. Selecting one brings up its settings on the left, or you'll see the widget settings instead. Click here and you'll see the inner container's settings appear. Take a quick look at what's showing on screen right now. Keep this in mind as we keep moving forward. It's a small detail, but it really matters once you're building things yourself. Let's look at inner and outer container settings. Right-click on either container. You'll see several options appear. You can copy it, paste it elsewhere on the page, or duplicate it. Duplicating simply clones the container. Click Duplicate, and you'll see a copy of the inner container appear. Take a quick look at what's showing on screen now. Keep this point in mind as we continue. This detail really matters in practice. Take another look at what's on screen right now. Take a quick look at what is showing on the screen right now. It made a copy right below the original. Then I duplicated it again, so now we have 3. Each new box lines up neatly under the one before it. Now let's check the settings of my main container. Watch closely, because this is my main container. On the left panel, the first option is Flexbox mode. It controls the width, telling the box to fill the full widths instead of shrinking to fit its content. That setting is what keeps everything stretching edge to edge. Height and width are already set up. Below that is the direction setting. It controls which way widgets get placed inside the main container. Click left, right, and watch the layout change. All inner containers line up left to right, side by side in a row. Notice their width shrank too. That happens because they're sharing space across the row, instead of stacking like before. Each container adjusts itself automatically to fit that new row. Now that they're arranged this way, let's add some content inside each container. Now with Justify, it shows how to center them on the page. It also lets you spread them out evenly, or add equal space between every one of them. For vertical height, it shows how to arrange them, along the top, along the bottom, or right in the middle. Just watch how each option shifts the layout the moment you click it. The gap setting can also add extra space between each of these boxes. Watch that gap grow wider as I adjust it. See it changing right now, right in front of you on the screen. By default, it's set to 20. Unless we want to go ahead and change that value to something else, which we can do easily. Pay attention now, because this next part really matters. Now I'll go over to my main container here. For the height property, I'll set the unit to VH instead of the default pixel setting. I'll set it to about this amount for now, just so we have enough room to do our design work comfortably. You can see the container adjusting right here on the screen as I drag it. That takes care of the height property for now. Okay, so that's it for the first container, friends. We'll move on to the next one from here. Let's take a look at what that involves. Let's click on our first container's settings. Go to the Style tab. Inside, we'll give it a color. Notice the different background type models available. Each one changes how that color displays on the page. Let's pick one of these models now. We'll give this container a yellow color, friends. That way it stands out nicely on the page. Now let's publish this part. That way we can see how it looks live. Great, let's move on together. From here, we'll keep building out the rest of our page. So far, we're publishing this page. What does that actually mean? It means we're saving the changes we just made here. Now let's click this eye icon up at the top. Clicking it opens a live preview of everything we've done so far. This lets us check that the page looks the way we expect it to. Once we're happy with what we see in that preview, we go back to the editor settings. I'll click on the second container settings now. That opens the settings panel here on the left side. From here, on the Style tab, we go into the Color section. And from there, we can start adjusting the background color together, one step at a time. I'll pick a different color for it. Let's say blue for the middle tab. For the right container, I open its settings again. Then I go to the Select section. For this one, I could pick a completely different color. Maybe red, or perhaps indigo instead. If you'd rather try that one, go ahead. Now you can see each tab clearly stands out. Each one has its own distinct color now. This makes them much easier to tell apart at a glance. You can quickly spot which tab you're working in. Take a quick look at what is showing on the screen right now. I'll publish it and watch, it updates automatically. We hit publish and it shows the changes right away. See how it looks now? Remember, in the settings for the main purple container up top, there was a gap section down below. That gap section controls the spacing between the elements inside that container. Right now you can see it's set to a small value, which is why everything looks close together on the page. Let's shrink that gap a little more and watch what happens next. See how the containers slide in and stick together right there? So if you wanted this same result in your own project, you'd need to go in and shrink those gaps yourself, the same way we just did. Look closely now. They're pressed right up against each other, but if you look even closer, you'll notice there's still a small gap left on the left side, and another small one on the right. So how do we get rid of these remaining gaps completely once and for all? Again, we'll head back to that same main container we've been working with this whole time. Take a quick look at what is showing on the screen right now. We select it, then come up here and click the Style tab. Sorry, I mean the Advanced tab. Click on Advanced, and then open the Layout section right below it. There are several settings here, and the two most important ones are margin and padding. Margin controls the spacing outside the element. Padding controls the spacing inside the element. I'll explain both of these fully in our next session together. But for now, just watch what happens if we set the padding to 0. I'll type 0 right here into this field. Look closely at this spot on the screen as the value changes. See that gap between the container and the line? We're setting it now. I'll type 0 into this field, right here. It sticks right against the container. Notice how the left and right spacing has filled in completely. That confirms the value is now 0. Now I'll click the plus icon up here again. Inside this container, I can go ahead and add different elements once more. Type your heading into this space here. Watch it appear right at the very top. Notice how the text updates as you type each letter. See how simple that process really is? Hello world. Sorry. My keyboard's a bit far away since I'm recording this tutorial. That's why there are so many typos. Okay, I've typed Hello World here, in this heading widget, and now I'm sitting inside the Style tab. Now I'll center the text so it sits right in the middle. Then I'll give it the color white, so it stands out clearly. You saw this blue was selected here before I changed it to white. That blue was just the default color the widget started with. Take a quick look at what is showing on the screen right now. This is the same color we already edited back in the global section, during our last session together. It shows up again here, listed with all these colors in the typography section. I'll click on Edit. And from there I can adjust the font, making it bigger or smaller depending on what I need. Now look closely, friends, at these inner container settings. Inside the inner container settings, under the Layout tab, you'll find options that control this specific container as well. These let you adjust how the container itself behaves on the page. For example, let's take a look at one of them together. Take a quick look at what is showing on the screen right now. Now let's look closely at the Align settings. If I set the alignment to center, the text should land right in the middle. But before that works properly, I need to choose the direction first. If I set the direction to top to bottom, that setting becomes the Justify option. This is what controls where things actually sit. If the direction is left to right instead, that option changes and gets set differently here. So once I set the direction to top to bottom, and then choose center, everything lands neatly in the middle. Let me pick the middle container again and click the plus icon here. That opens the widgets panel on the left side of the screen. From the Lumo WPRO Toolkit widgets, which are excellent top-tier options, I can choose the one I want to use. This time I'll select the Flipbox widget and drop it right here into the container. You can see it lands in place immediately, already sitting there ready for us to start styling it. This widget becomes really cool once it's fully set up. Watch closely and see what happens when I hover over it. Notice how the whole box flips around to reveal the other side underneath. Okay, but before I change the section settings, the inner container settings, let's take a look here. I'll go ahead and select the middle one. Now, over in the Layout tab on the left side, I'm going to set it to center. That way it lines up centered too, just like the rest. Then I can edit this box, for example, by clicking on it to change its content. Let's select the flip box itself first. You can change quite a bit from here. Look closely, because both the front side and the back side have their own separate settings. Now, if you go to the Style tab, you can set things up there too. For example, you can set a background image or a background color, or you can make whatever other changes you might need to make. Now, here's a helpful tip. If you ever find it hard to select between these containers, take a quick look at what is showing on the screen right now. Now, up on the top right, you'll notice something called Structure. Click on it, and it opens up a panel showing all the layers you've created so far in this design. Look closely. This one right here is my first, main section. When I go ahead and select it, notice how it highlights on the canvas. The next one sits over on the left side. Then comes the middle section, right after that, and following it is the container placed on the right. Now, inside that same container, I can once again go in and start working further. Now, let's add a third container, making a third layer. Inside this container, I can add more containers and duplicate them, and I'll give each one its own different color. I'll give this inner container a different color too, so it stands out from the others. And as you can see, you can keep nesting containers just like this, one inside another, and this one I'll leave white for now. I'll give this one a different color as well, maybe red or maybe yellow. Each one works the same way once you understand the pattern. That covers containers, which was really important, so take time to practice with them. Learn how these settings behave so you can use them confidently. So far, I wanted you to get familiar with containers, nested containers, and their settings. Go back and try building a few of your own. I wish you all the best. Practice these before the next video. Take care, and I will see you soon. Take a quick look at what is showing on the screen right now.